Well, good evening to you. Great thanks for joining us and welcome to Sunday Express. Tonight, we tell you what has been happening across the country in the political arena as well as in health matters. And our conversation tonight is quite an interesting one. Serfine.
It is indeed the very first day of the month of August, the year 2021. Yes. Actually, every year around this time, it's a very crucial season for the entire nation. It's the Breastfeeding Awareness Week. A very crucial time for us to understand the role of breastfeeding. Even in nation building, many think it's all about the mother nursing the child, but in our conversation tonight, you're going to understand how this is important, not just for the child and the mother, but the community at large, and also what we should be expecting in the next coming few days as we mark this very important week. I'll be engaging Rose Wambu. She is a maternal, infant and young child nutrition manager at the Ministry of Health later in this broadcast.
Definitely tune into that conversation for the next 1 hour or so. Sunday Express is Express. Here are the highlights.
Wengine wanasema wanatoka. Hiyo haimaanishi kwamba hatuwezi kuungana tena. Hiyo NASA kazi yake ilikwisha. Lakini huko mbele tutakuja pamoja.
Pursuit for political symbiosis. Former NASA allies are back to the drawing board as Gideon Moi promises a strong presidential campaign.
Watu wamechanganyikiwa vibaya sana na hii bottom up. Lakini to explain, it is about remembering the weak. Mungu humtoa mtu mnyonge mavumbini.
The way is bottom up. Deputy President William Ruto maintains his economic strategy is best suited to fix Kenya's ailing job sector.
And it's time to level up. Form 1 students to join secondary school beginning Monday. All right, welcome to the broadcast. My name is Kioria.
And my name is Serfine Achieng Ouma. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Byron Aboli. Do engage us on social media at KBC Channel 1. Use the hashtag Sunday Express.
All right, let's begin with the news that ODM leader Raila Odinga has hinted at regrouping with his NASA colleagues to form a coalition that will face Deputy President William Ruto in next year's general election.
Though he failed to state if he will join the One Kenya Alliance, Raila revealed that his unity meetings alongside President Uhuru Kenyatta will begin next week, the agenda being to solidify different regions around a pro-handshake coalition.
Former Prime Minister, who was in Vihiga attending a funeral for the late wife to the Deputy Governor Patrick Saisi, says he could engage his colleagues in the now-defunct NASA to form a strong coalition for next year's polls.
Wengine wanasema wanatoka. Hiyo haimaanishi kwamba hatuwezi kuungana tena. Hiyo NASA kazi yake ilikwisha. Lakini huko mbele tutakuja pamoja.
Odinga revealing that in the coming week, 100 delegates from each of the Mulembe Nation counties will converge in Kakamega to deliberate on the formation of a coalition under a pro-handshake arrangement.
Na wapitisha azimio ya Western kutoka huko pande ya pwani. Wapwani wataongea kule mashariki, kule kaskazini mashariki, bonde la Ufa, alafu mlima. Walisema ya kwamba Raila hawezi kupanda milima. Sema nimepata punda mzuri zaidi ambaye ataweza kupanda milima.
Leaders from the region, however, imploring Odinga to support ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, who enjoys support in the county.
Na mimi sina shida ya kukaa pamoja na ndugu zetu na tufanye kazi pamoja.
Baba, raundi hii kuna naokoa Kenya, niko na Musalia Mudavadi.
Ndugu zako wote wako pamoja kwa One Kenya Alliance. Tunaomba Right Honorable Raila Odinga uende uwashike mkono, waonyeshe mahali tutapata hii uongozi ili tusitaribu wakati.
Sisi kama ANC tumesema sasa tutaenda kwenye debe ya upresident.
Mudavadi, on the other hand, has dismissed the approaches being fronted by his competitors in the resuscitation of the economy debate, saying Kenyans do not need theoretical models but tangible solutions. Mudavadi, who appeared to be taking a jibe at both Deputy President William Ruto and Raila Odinga, called on Kenyans to interrogate all the leaders who have fronted themselves for the presidential contest, saying some were being dishonest.
Watu wamekuwa wakizungumza sana kusema iko model hii. Mimi nataka niseme hakuna haja ya model. Model ni kama uko kwa classroom unafunza maprofesa, unatoa model na theory. Kila watu wanataka kujua kama kuna deni tutalipa deni namna gani. Kama kuna ushuru tutafanya nini huo ushuru punguke.
Liberalized economy ni inji serikali kuweka enabling environment na kuachia wananchi kufanya mambo yao. Hakuna economy ya kupeana watu pesa kiholela vile mnaambia, kwa sababu hata wakisema hivyo itakuwa tu kama zile laptops, itakuwa tu kama zile 9 stadiums.
Juzi nilipeana hesabu nikamwambia watu mnadanganywa ati bottom up. Hakuna bottom up. Ukihesabu ati tunakupatia watu pesa kila mtu. Biashara bottom up, how? Ni uongo.
Another One Kenya Alliance principal Kanu's Gideon Moi was in Baringo, where he warned those underestimating his presidential bid to brace for a political duel as he would go all the way to the ballot.
Kwa safari ambayo tunaenda kubadilisha maisha watu.
Meanwhile, the dust in the Jubilee Party kicked by the party's loss in Kiambaa is yet to settle, with Kieni MP Kanini Kega and Muranga woman rep Sabina Shege claiming they would begin a purge of those deemed to be a liability in the party next week. The duo say the purge will target the rank and file of a party's top leadership, a statement that could be directed at Secretary General Raphael Tuju and Vice Chair David Murathe.
Chama chetu cha Jubilee kuna kasoro kidogo, na wale ambao wanaharibu jina ya Jubilee, wale ambao hawajui kuongea vizuri, wanaenda wanatoa matusi. Tunataka kuambia tutaanza operation Fagia.
Wale wako kwa ofisi kuu ya headquarter, ukiona cha mwenzako chanyolewa, tia chako maji. Tukimalizana na countess tutaenda hapo juu, ili tukue na watu ambao wako na msimamo na watu ambao watasaidia rais.
A busy political weekend it was, and still staying with matters politics, Deputy President William Ruto has urged leaders to embrace the bottom-up economic model that is tailor-made to improve the livelihoods of the poor.
While attending a church service at the St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in Langata, Ruto emphasized the need to be mindful of all Kenyans, as Serfine now reports.
On Sunday morning, while attending a church service at the St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in Langata, Nairobi, Deputy President William Ruto took the opportunity to respond to criticism of his proposed bottom-up economic model.
Pengine mnashangaa hii bottom-up inaanzia wapi? Hii bottom na inasumbua watu, imesumbua watu wengi sana. Watu wamechanganyikiwa vibaya sana na hii bottom-up. It is about remembering the weak.
Ruto reiterated the importance of embracing the new economic model so as to incorporate Kenyans who are disadvantaged by the current economic model.
That is the lifting of everybody so that we can together be in a nation where nobody is left behind.
For Sunday Express, I'm Serfine.
All right, in the education sector now, and candidates who set the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education KCPE last year are set to join Form 1 beginning tomorrow.
And although the government has since revised school fees in boarding schools owing to a shorter academic calendar, parents say raising the fees for their children is an uphill task due to the rising cost of living and the economic challenges occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. Caroline Kamau with that report.
Over 1 million pupils who sat last year's Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination will join Form 1 starting tomorrow. This marking the first time all 15 million learners will be in school since the disruption of learning in the country by the COVID-19 pandemic last year. But while learners may be excited about moving to the next level of their basic education, parents are decrying the pain of raising school fees amid reduced incomes.
Shule nilikuwa nadaiwa 26,000. Kudaiwa 26,000 nikapata 10,000. Saizi kwa fees unastukia inahitaji 18,000. If you say 18,000 kwa sababu ni term 1 plus arrears, ukiona hivi kwa ukweli huyo mtoto hata akikia kwa shule au hesabu kwamba ako shule.
Richard Cherutich, a chats vendor in Kabranet, says COVID-19 has affected his business and is not able to raise school fees for his 2 children in high school.
Niko na watoto wawili wa secondary schools ambapo saizi ukiangalia hivi hali ya uchumi imeenda chini sana. Ili uweze hata kupata ya kulipa mtoto mmoja inakuwa kasi. Sababu hali ya uchumi imeenda chini. Biashara ile nafanya ni ile biashara ya kuuza calendars.
Stakeholders in the education sector say the state of the economy may hinder many parents from being able to provide school fees for their children. While launching a 30 million shillings bursary kitty for needy students in Baringo, Governor Stanley Kiptis acknowledged the harsh economic effects of COVID-19.
Parents and guardians are facing numerous financial challenges, and the bursary kitty will go a long way in elevating their school fees burden.
The money, according to a principal in the area, will go a long way in cushioning 60% of the students' population, without which they would not have gone back to school.
About 80% of our students are from the IDPs who are displaced by the banditry and cattle rustling. And they have so many challenges as far as payment of fees is concerned.
The government has since revised school fees for boarding schools, with this year's academic calendar being 9 weeks shorter. Whereas the academic calendar is usually 39 weeks, the 2021 calendar will run for 30 weeks. Caroline Kamau for Sunday Express.
From matters education to COVID-19 now, Kenya is ending the weekend with a slight drop in the COVID-19 positivity rate of 9.0% after 467 cases were recorded out of 5,217 samples tested in the last 24 hours.
The country has, however, lost 15 more patients from the disease, all of them being the deaths reported after conducting facility record audits on diverse dates in the months of May and July 2021.
195 patients have, however, recovered from the disease, though 1,475 others are still battling the pandemic in various hospitals countrywide.
According to data from the Johns Hopkins University, over 198 million cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed globally, with a death toll of about 4.2 million.
Now moving on, hundreds of motorists in Nairobi were on Saturday night stuck in traffic for close to 3 hours after police mounted roadblocks to apprehend those found contravening the nationwide curfew.
Nairobi Regional Commander of Police Augustine Thumbe says several city residents were hard pressed to explain why they could not get home before 10 p.m.
Thumbe warned that more roadblocks will be mounted to ensure only essential service providers travel beyond the curfew hours. Serfine with that report.
This was the situation in most roads in Nairobi on Saturday night. Most people were caught up in traffic after the police mounted roadblocks at 10 p.m. in various roads in the city. Essential service providers were also caught up in the process as police moved to ensure everyone on the road had valid reasons to be out past 10 p.m.
Jana walitangaza na wangetuambia sasa maybe mwisho ni saa 4, saa 3:30, lakini saa 4 ilikuwa bado inaendelea.
Itakuwa sasa na niko na essential. Hao watu wangefanya hivi kama ni roadblock. Waweke line moja ile yenye waweke line moja ya watu essential wapite instead ya kuchukua njia zote wanaziblock.
Blocking the road indiscriminately without even taking into consideration
those of us who have essential service.
Tunalala wapi? Unaweza lala kwa barabara.
Kuna familia kiasi, tushafungiwa hapa hivi. Mimi natoka huko hivyo maatu hivyo. So nimefungiwa hapa hivi juu story ya curfew. Hadi mimi celebration nini hii curfew ni samanini.
Kasarani OCPD Peter Mwanzo was at some point forced to offer his vehicle to transport some women and children to their homes. An opportunity to let an ambulance through this nallop almost resulted in an accident.
Watu watii so that we can save Kenyans. We expected yesterday that people will listen to that. But unfortunately, they took it very casually.
After hours of possession, Nairobi Regional Commander of Police Augustine Athumbi ordered the lifting of barricades, but not without a warning.
Saa hii kila mtu aondoke aende. Kesho tunaianzia saa 4 kamili, hakuna mtu atapita hapa.
On Friday, the government announced that there will be no turning back on the COVID-19 containment measures.
Kusema kuwa corona is real na fourth wave ya corona iko na watu wengi wanapata shida ya hii maneno ya corona kwa sababu ya kudharau yale mambo ambayo yamewekwa na Ministry of Health.
Politicians have been hugely indicted over the spike in COVID-19 cases, with the government coming out strongly against political rallies and public gatherings of any nature. For Sunday Express, I'm Serfine Robbie.
They can be lucky next time. Yesterday, I think there was an intervention, and the regional police post came and said, release these people. But I don't think next time they will be as lucky. So just get home in good time.
Just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If you can, that is, to avoid, landing yourself in trouble. It's all for your good anyway. We are all just trying to battle this pandemic. It's nothing personal. That's what I would say. Anyway, a lot still lined up for you. We will be talking about the role of breastfeeding after this particular break. Remember, we are starting the Breastfeeding Awareness Week. What many think is obvious is not very obvious. We'll find out in just a bit. That conversation coming up after the break.
All right.
We have decided to accept the results of the just concluded elections and to join hands with other Kenyans in addressing the urgent problems facing our nation at the moment. Ford Kenya, in accepting these results, would want to ensure that there is peace and stability in our nation, because any talk of rejecting results and instituting mass action can only help to destabilize our nation further.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS, alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill, kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Now that she ran off, we now have a good reason to ban her, which is good for us.
What are you doing out here? Arrest this woman right now!
Promise me 3 things right now. I can give what you want.
Do you promise?
Tim did that pristine, I swear. They went late for an instant.
Lord Fayette, I want you to research Lord Fayette's background and not miss any detail.
Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Express, and now we move to the preamble of our interview tonight. The COVID-19 pandemic has had some unprecedented effects on how we live, work and play.
Now, for breastfeeding mothers, the protection of infants from the deadly disease is proving to be a Herculean task due to the complexities involved. Jackie Wambiru with details of how some mothers are throwing caution to the wind, choosing to be guided by instinct and basic hygiene when balancing between personal care and breastfeeding. Have a look.
Meet Emily Wahome, a mother of 3. Emily says she began experiencing COVID-19 related symptoms and her fears were confirmed when the result turned positive.
I was still feeling so extremely fatigued and I was feeling generally unwell. I decided to go to the hospital. So when I went to the doctor told me we need to do COVID tests because that's a time when we had very high numbers. So when the COVID test was done, it was positive. The doctor advised me to isolate myself for 10 days, but I didn't manage to isolate myself from my children.
At the time, she was breastfeeding.
It was very scary because I knew that if I continue breastfeeding, I would expose my baby to COVID-19.
For Emily, the management of her COVID-19 status and the care for her baby was lessened by her expertise in nutrition.
You do not want to expose your child to the COVID, but at the same time, we know the benefits of breast milk. Breast milk contains antibodies that continue building the immunity of the baby, and therefore even during COVID-19, it's advisable for the mothers still to continue breastfeeding their babies, to continue building the immunity.
For some mothers, however, having COVID during lactation can be a tall order.
Mothers should not be scared about breastfeeding because there's no evidence to show that actually breast milk will contain the virus. They just need to observe the COVID-19 rules of washing their hands, keeping personal hygiene, and wearing their mask as much as possible.
Esther Kwamboka says coronavirus has been a challenge as a mother is forced to care for herself and at the same time ensure that her baby does not contract the disease and still breastfeed exclusively.
The antibodies from the mother, who is already suffering from COVID, are going to be passed on to the child who is through the breast milk. And so that is going to be passive immunity that is going to be passed into the child, because then the antibodies are going to start acting like immediately within the child. So there's not been any evidence that COVID is spread through breast milk, and there's not been any evidence that if a mother actually breastfeeds and she masks up and she does all the hygiene practices, that she's going to transmit it to her baby.
Emily says a healthy support system comes in handy during such difficult times.
If a lady is stressed, if a woman is stressed during breastfeeding, that is one of the things that impact or bring the milk supply down. So she needs to be emotionally prepared for it. She needs to be given support. If she is stressed, she needs to be cared for so that she can be able to continue breastfeeding. Postpartum depression most of the time occurs when ladies do not get enough support.
Once she knows that the breast milk is not going to be transmitted through the COVID is not going to be transmitted to her baby through the breast milk, then she's going to be confident and she'll stop worrying. Once she knows that the antibodies in her body are actually going to be transferred into the baby and it's going to give the child passive immunity, then that is also going to help her gain confidence and stop worrying too much about the baby.
Though there has been a push to have employers designate areas within their workplaces for breastfeeding, the COVID-19 pandemic presents a major challenge.
I'd like to appeal to the employers is that this space is very necessary. If you want a productive mother, then we need to make her comfortable.
Kenya is seeking to create awareness among new parents and promote infant health through a week-long breastfeeding campaign dubbed Protect Breastfeeding, a Shared Responsibility. Reporting for Sunday Express, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
All right, so that is just, I would say, something to kickstart this conversation for us. One interesting thing is how the COVID-19 pandemic has also, impacted how easy or how difficult it was for mothers to be able to do this. And of course, it depends on how you look at it. We'll be talking about COVID-19 and, just how mothers, breastfeeding mothers have tried to cope during these very difficult times, especially those who tested positive for COVID and they were breastfeeding in this conversation. Do stay with us, and it begins right now. I'm having this sit down with Rose Wambo. Rose is a maternal, infant and young child nutrition manager at the Division of Nutrition and Dietetics at the Ministry of Health. Thank you so much, Rose, for creating time for us.
Thank you.
All right, so I'd like to begin from a general point. We are just marking the Breastfeeding Awareness Week. It started today, the first. It will be going all the way till the 7th of August. For many who may be asking themselves, why should we care about this week? Why is it important? What inspired it?
Okay, this is a global event, and by the realization by the World Health Organization and UNICEF, that breastfeeding needed to be advocated for. Therefore, in 1990, there was a declaration which was made in a town in Italy, the Innocenti town, and it was agreed that at least on a yearly basis, breastfeeding should be, awareness should be created on a yearly basis. Therefore, the first one was done in 1992. So from 1992, we've had a commemoration every year. So in Kenya, we are just like any other part of the world. We are celebrating an World Breastfeeding Week, where we want to promote breastfeeding at the highest levels. Yes. All right.
When you say we are promoting breastfeeding at the highest levels, many think breastfeeding is obvious. As soon as you give birth as a mother, naturally, you're supposed to breastfeed your child. Is it as obvious as we think, or there are issues that inform why we should be having such an awareness?
Okay, let me say, as usual, I think people assume that breastfeeding is, natural, which it should be, but it is not easy. Because it depends on how the baby is put on the breast. So if the mother is not taught properly while she's pregnant on how she will be able to attach the baby on her breast, latch, how she's going to hold the baby, then it is going to be very difficult, because the baby is the attachment will cause a lot of pain, and the mother will hate breastfeeding. However, we have breastfeeding counselors and nutrition service providers who at the facility level give this information, teach mothers and show mothers how to breastfeed their children, how to attach, how to latch. If you have twins, how to hold the twins on both sides, how to hold the baby, how to remove the air if the baby has breastfed with a lot of force, and basically that makes it interesting. But if that does not happen, it is very difficult, and especially for the young girls, they will not want to hear anything about breastfeeding.
So the challenge mostly is with first-time mothers. That's like the population that you find really lacking in this information, or it cuts across?
More so the young mothers, but it is with all mothers. Remember, every birth is an episode, so every child is different from the other. Sometimes, depending on the years, the mother may have forgotten. So she will require to be reminded. This is how you hold the baby. This is how you attach the baby on the breast. All these things. Sometimes we may assume that the mother can remember, and it's not like so.
It's not as obvious.
So this may be a that-time mother, but who is also having difficulties. And again, it depends with what kind of teaching and demonstrations were given to her during the first time. Yeah.
When should this information be passed to a mother? Is it during pregnancy, or is it after they've given birth? What's the best time for this awareness, this form of awareness, to be conducted?
This information needs to be given to girls as soon as they start puberty.
Okay.
Because you don't know when they're going to be mothers. So this information needs to be with our youth because they are the mothers of tomorrow. Therefore, all the women of reproductive age need to have this information in preparation for pregnancy. More so, we emphasize more when the mother is pregnant because that is when we have several times to meet with her. Therefore, that time we engage, we teach them, you know, we emphasize on the points that they're supposed to follow during breastfeeding so that she's prepared psychologically. Otherwise, if she's not prepared psychologically, she's not going to be able to breastfeed because the moment the baby's mouth touches her breast, she feels tickly. And that ticklish now may make her abandon. Yes.
All right. They usually say that the first few minutes after birth are very crucial in this breastfeeding journey. Probably from your perspective, you can help us understand why this is important, that as a mother, as soon as you give birth, you're supposed to begin the breastfeeding journey immediately and not wait anymore. Why is it crucial, this very first few minutes you spend with your child?
It's very crucial to attach the, first of all, to attach the infant on the mother immediately after birth. Then within the first hour of birth, the baby is put on the breast. It creates that fast attachment. You see, so it creates it makes the hormones now work faster in producing milk. There are two hormones that are involved here. One is the let down hormone, which informs there's a baby. Create milk and the milk is let down.
So it communicates to the body that it's now time.
It is now time.
To start,
so the moment there's that attachment, that creates now that environment.
Right.
The other one is bonding. So that bonding, you know, there's the mother's sense, the baby learns the mother sense at that stage. And finally, you know, this first milk contains anti-infective factors. So these prevent many illnesses. It is like the first vaccine for this baby. Yeah.
All right. Now that you've opened that box for me, we've just sort of gotten into the benefits of breastfeeding. As a ministry, why do you find it important to ensure that as many mothers as possible are able to breastfeed their children in the recommended way? Why is it crucial? First, for the baby, for the mother, and even for the, the family or the community at large. Why should we be focusing on this?
It's very important as a country because, as you know, I think you've seen the statistics that we lose so much as a country due to malnutrition, and we lose in billions. So one, we need to have the infants healthy. It promotes growth, optimal nutrition, because during this time that the infant gets breast milk, they get everything from that milk, all the nutrients that are required for growth. The second one is that secondly, the mother is protected against some cancers, the ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and also it helps the mother get into shape quickly, you know, and avoid getting overweight and obesity, which is one of our problems today, because 50% of the women are either overweight and obese, and that will make them
control their weight.
Yes, the breast milk will make them control their weight because of the calories they are burning. Otherwise, breastfeed, if they with that weight, then they can easily get non-communicable diseases.
Has it been proven that it's a form of contraceptive? I've heard this a lot of times.
Yes.
Has it been
Thank
proven?
you for pointing out that. It is scientifically proven that if a mother continuously breastfeeds, that is exclusively, without giving this child anything, breastfeeding on demand, then the amenorrhea, the return of the menses is delayed. Definitely, but that does not come if the mother gives the baby any other thing. Therefore, it is a proven way of a family planning way.
But it has to be faithfully, exclusively breastfeeding a child for the first
Exactly. Yes, it has to be the mother faithfully and adorably breastfeeding her child on demand for the first 6 weeks.
How realistic is that? Many mothers, you'd be surprised, still really struggle with that. Ensuring that your baby is not fed and is not given any other thing apart from your breast milk for the first 6 months, especially those who are working. The maternity leave is only 3 months. You're supposed to be going back to work. How do you manage to be able to do that for 6 months, leave alone even using it as a contraceptive? Just ensuring that you do what is right for your baby. What we know is that you're supposed to make sure that they are exclusively breastfed for 6 months, but it's not very easy for many women. How do you do it?
Thank you, Serfine. And I think I'll point out here, I would want all the mothers to be your height. That can't happen unless breastfeeding is done. Okay. It's because your mother breastfed you well.
Yes.
The other thing I would want to say is that we have a policy in place that we call breastfeeding workplace policy. And we have a law, that is the health law. In the workplace policy, we emphasize on provision of areas, flexi hours for the mother, you know, like discussing with the supervisor, so that this young mother or old mother, or you know, comes a little bit late and gives her all, then she gets flexi hours to be able to go and breastfeed her baby. At the same time, she is provided for with a room within the working environment to express her milk, and in this room it should be well, so that there is a fridge and there is a seat. She's comfortable. She expresses her milk, puts it in a safe container in a refrigerator, so that when she's going home in the evening, she carries her milk home. And this is the milk that will be given to the baby in the absence of the mother, so that that baby can continuously be breastfed.
How is the uptake in terms of implementation of this policy? What are employers telling you as the complexities of implementing this?
Okay, they are both public and private. Most of the employers have put up lactation spaces or rooms. One in example is Tharaka Nithi County, which has put a creche, you know, Safaricom, you know, so the mothers can come with their babies in that creche, and they are caretakers. Now, the other areas where the offices are, we still have some breastfeeding rooms. Well, I would say some in name, others are okay, and mothers can express their milk. However, the room is there, but may not be accessible to the mother when they need it. And this is where now we say employers kindly ensure this room is not converted into a store, is not converted into something else.
It should be available.
Yes, this room should be available for breastfeeding mothers whenever they need to use it.
I'm looking forward to that time, though, because it's been such a struggle to allow to have mothers have this chance at their workplaces to be able to breastfeed their children. We've run out of time for this conversation, unfortunately. I'd just like you, as your final remarks, in the coming few days, what are some of the things that are lined up that we should expect that will form this Breastfeeding Awareness Week? And finally, just tell me what you feel the community should do, because you talk about supporting the breastfeeding mother. What is this support? What is it that the others can do to support this mother?
Okay, let me start by saying we have a number of activities lined for the week as a country. And one of them is sensitizing. You know, we inform everyone, and that is why I informed you earlier, and we engage everyone. We also anchor whatever breastfeeding with other existing programs, and then galvanize. And what that means is that we will engage at different levels. We are going to have counties run their edition of the World Breastfeeding Week in their own style. here there's no prescription because
how to do it.
Yes, the counties are at different levels. Some have a lot of resources, others have minimal resources on this particular area. The partners are supporting, and the partners are also supporting the counties, the national, up to the community level.
All right, in 30 seconds,
yes.
How do we support breastfeeding mothers as a community, as a society?
Telling everyone the benefits of breastfeeding. Then we also want people to support the mothers. For example, in the offices, we need those rooms and like the lactation rooms to be put in place. Let the mothers breastfeed. Let our mothers not be told to go and breastfeed or remove their milk in the toilet, because nobody who is sane will have their food in the toilets. Then the other thing is we want to engage everyone, and especially the leaders. Let them know that breastfeeding is the first feed of choice and the only sure food security that we have. Therefore, and for my young people like you, Serfine, I think let us not avoid breastfeeding. You know, let breastfeeding be the beauty that we are looking forward into. Like I told you, I would want all the women to be your height. You challenged me.
I see what you've done there, but it's okay. I live to fight another day. Thank you so much, Rose, for creating time and for challenging us young people to really embrace breastfeeding, because it's important to save the future generation in this country. Next week, it is a Breastfeeding Awareness Week, and we've just been talking about the importance of this particular season, but it should go beyond. It should actually go beyond just this particular week, something that we should embrace. Many think it's obvious, but it's not very obvious, if you ask me. I've been engaging Rose Wambu, maternal, infant and young child nutrition manager at the Ministry of Health. Thank you once again for your time. We're just going to be taking a very short break right here on Sunday Express. We are coming back with much more.
Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
I love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the Popos. Huh?
Drama.
Will you assault the Queen in my house, in my presence?
News, sports and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
Ni kitu gani ulimwambia Maya mpaka yuko so convinced kwamba utakuja kuzungumza na babake?
Birthday ya Badi si muhimu kwako, sio?
Jamani mume wangu, mimi sijasema hivyo.
Mimi leo niko tayari kutoroka. Vipi ule mpango?
Pe jina lako kijana.
Ujui jina la baba wa mtoto mtarajiwa?
Like spending my money, baby.
Na kama hutaki mimi nitumie, wataka naye nitumie.
This is where it all began. As the mother of broadcasting in Kenya, you can trust KBC to bring you authentic news and programs to your living room. As KBC, we take pride in our unrivaled heritage as Kenya's trusted national broadcaster. Commanding over 92% digital television signal coverage of our country, 23 radio services that cut across our entire language spectrum, a national, regional and international digital presence backed by the most experienced and top-notch broadcast professionals in the industry.
A very good evening to you.
The new look Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is truly ahead of the pack. Turn to the mother of broadcasting in Kenya for stories that resonate with our identity, our aspirations as a people united in purpose. Real stories of hard work, of passion, of creativity, of big dreams. Stories that cement our nationhood. Stories that bring us together as one. We take pride in our shared heritage and destiny. KBC. Informing, educating, and entertaining Kenyans as one nation. KBC. Kenya's listening. Kenya's watching.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
Don't you see that you're just prolonging the agony? All of us are hurting, Flavia. Our dad's death, Juliana, hurts me as much as all of you.
And now I know why my godmother told me that my mother was dead when they could no longer find her body.
I can imagine that being a child made it harder for you to understand what happened.
I'm so tired of pretending that I'm grieving in front of everyone.
I have to go back to Mexico. It's a good thing that the police have officially ended the search. What a hassle.
Yes. And you handled the matter about the will very well. It was timely.
I was the one who set fire to stars.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra.
Welcome back. You're still watching Sunday Express. For 16 years, Santa Lucy Fungaro has been forced to battle an ailment and still ensure that her education continues uninterrupted. The 21-year-old student at Makerere University was in 2005 diagnosed with a condition known as, listen to this, dermatomyositis, an uncommon inflammatory disease marked by muscle weakness and a distinctive skin rash. She spoke to our reporter, Wamboi Otiende, on her painful journey of creating awareness about the condition.
Only thing you're left with, because you have no option in life.
Santa Lucy Fungaro is fighting a war that is chipping away her resolve piece by piece. Muscle weakness, multiple skin disorders, vitiligo, lung infection, and random calcinitis.
And I'm also a patient of dermatomyositis, which is an autoimmune skin condition that affects the skin, the muscles, the tissues, and the nerves. In Uganda, I am the second medically registered case since 1954.
Santa, a final year student at the Makerere University, says the last 16 years have been hell on earth.
But then it gets itchy under sun. At times I turn purplish or even pinkish or even reddish due to the fact that the sun affects me and my immunity is stronger than my body.
Dermatomyositis usually occurs in adults from the late 40s to early 60s, but can also occur in children. Females are most affected. She recently launched a campaign to create awareness about her condition.
I believe there are cases like me in the country, but because the condition is rare, people tend to look at it as witchcraft, or maybe look at you as a curse or a social outcast.
Santa says she needs 7 million shillings to undergo surgery to clear the calcinitis.
So the estimate I was given from Aga Khan for everything was about 7 million, but they told me it could go more or it could come less.
She hopes that treatment can accord her some much needed strength to help others who are also battling the condition.
Or I could go into theater and come out paralyzed, but I want to choose that I am going into theater and come out alive.
Financial donations can be sent to her M-Pesa number 0790602063. 0790602063. Reporting for Sunday Express, I'm Wamboi Otiende.
All right, it's time for us to get sporty. And Emmanuel Kioria and Ferguson Rotich qualified for the finals of a men's 800 meters at the Tokyo Olympics. Kioria finished second in heat 1 behind Poland's Patrick Dubek to get an automatic slot, while Rotich won heat 3. Meanwhile, world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech and 2016 Rio silver medalist Achieng qualified for the final of the women's 3,000 meters steeplechase.
Achieng won heat 3 after clocking 9 minutes 23.17 seconds.